Hello everyone, Larry Satchwell here. I want to revisit making suet at home. About 3 years ago, I put up a video and I did not know much about making suet at that time. I looked at some YouTube channels, looked at some websites, and kind of followed what they were doing. Well, I'm taking that video down. It's gotten a lot of views lately, and I don't want to mislead people because there were some ingredients in there like the peanut butter that had salt and other preservatives in it that shouldn't be in it. And I've been challenged by some of my viewers. Some of them made it sound like I was committing genocide on the wild bird population in Loganville, Georgia. But I read those and I'm learning and I want to learn. I want to learn more, and I appreciate those comments, derogatory or not. I learn from them. So today I'm revisiting making suet at home. I've done a ton of research. There are still a lot of videos out there on how to do it wrong and how to harm birds. I'm going to try to write my own video and do it this way. And if you think this is still toxic to birds, let me know. I was just trying to play around here with making some finer powder out of these sunflower nubs here. They were just pieces. They're from Pennington, and the Cornell lab here backs them up. So I want to try to make a fine powder out of this sunflower and substitute it as for wheat flour. So bear with me here. It's starting to break down. It's still cool. I don't want to heat it up. While that's cooling off a little bit, it's got a little heat to it. Let me talk about the peanuts. Adding peanut butter to the suet. Now, my wife found these two organic brand of peanut butter at the grocery store, and I asked her what they contained. One of them contains sugar and salt. The other one contains palm oil. Well, that's not something you want in your bird mix. This Crazy Richards is 100% peanuts. You look on the back, there's no salt, there's nothing. And the only thing I found that might be a little harmful about this is it has oil on top. Any oil that's not solid at room temperature is not going to be good. So I'm going to pour the oil off of here. I can actually use that to fry my eggs at lunch. So now we've got this really crunchy, pure peanut butter. Now, if you're going to do this at home, Pennington also makes this, and also endorsed by Cornell on the back. It was funny, I was checking out at the Walmart, and I have a couple of favorite cashiers there. I had already read the ingredients, but she mentioned, you know, we've read that label twice, and nowhere does it say it's not for human consumption. But one of the things you want to make sure of is that they're not showing any signs of aflatoxins. That's a disease that is very common in peanuts. So you want to look for anything that looks a little moldy or off color. These look pretty good. I'm going to try to grind some of these up after I try this. Well, I've pulsed this for several minutes, and it's kind of becoming a paste more than a flour. It's pretty fine grained. I'm going to set it aside here. I'm going to try a few nuts. Well, because these aren't roasted, I don't think it's going to make peanut butter, but it certainly is getting into a fine grind. So while the nuts and the food processors are resting, let's talk about beef tallow. This was in the slow cooker on low for 5 hours yesterday. I'll show you what it looked like when it started. I got this from the butcher yesterday. This butcher specializes in grass-fed beef, and it was $3.99 a pound. But after 5 hours in the slow cooker, this is what it looks like. So I'm pretty satisfied with that, but I don't know how much I have. So that's what I need to do next, is to measure that out. So I've got 2 cups here. It doesn't matter if you're using empirical measurement like I am or in metric liters. It doesn't matter as long as you know what you have. So I have just over 2 cups here, 16 ounces. It's covering up here. It's half a liter. So the reason I need to know, because I'm going to add an equal amount of peanut butter. Now that's beef tallow. Let's talk a little bit about lard. This is a very common brand here in the South, Armour, but it's got stuff in it that's not lard. I can't even read the ingredients here. I don't understand why they have to add flavoring to it. But that's what it is. It is what it is. My granddaughter worked at a organic hog farm for a while, and there they have leaf lard. Now, leaf lard is an entirely different substance than that. The only ingredients in here, and it was an organic farm, heritage pigs. The only ingredients in here is fat, lard. And so that is another very safe ingredient. So I'm going to add that. It's also very expensive. I don't know what she paid for that. But the lard comes from hogs, tallow comes from beef. Now, since I had 2 cups of tallow, or 16 ounces, this is a 16-ounce jar of peanut butter. I'm going to add that. Try to get this spatula in there. And I'm going to add the whole shebang here. If you don't have this locally, you can order it online. I'm sure this is going to be easier for you to get out than it is for me. Another thing that I've discovered, and I kind of knew this, you don't want to spread this on the tree limbs. You want to put it in a regular suet feeder. If birds get oil or fat on their feathers, they lose their waterproof ability. The feathers can then absorb water, and that is a definite death trap for birds. So I've got 16 ounces of fat tallow, 16 ounces of peanut butter, and the leaf lard, it doesn't say. But I could, if I had more peanut butter, I would add an equal amount of peanut butter as I added the leaf lard. Clean this off a little bit. So I'm going to mix my lard, my tallow, and my peanut butter up. That's pretty good. I found this method on Rural Sprout, and I really wanted to try it because it was very interesting. Now, this is my basic mix here, and to that, they suggest 1 cup of cornmeal. I'm going to use the Bob's Red Mill organic corn flour instead. I'd rather not add flour to this. So I'm going to add 1 cup. This is a winter mix. You don't want to put this out in the spring. And I've got to be careful even here in Georgia, because we'll have days that are in the 60s and the nights that are colder than that. And if I see this starting to melt in the afternoons, I'll bring it in. So there's 1 cup of that. They also add a cup of flour. Well, instead of a cup of flour, I'm going to add a cup of this ground up sunflower seeds. And again, I'm experimenting and learning. This may not work. And I'm going to mix that up and see what it looks like. All right, I don't think that's going to make a cake. So I have my ground up peanuts. See how many I have. Looks like a cup of that. Let's incorporate that. It's getting there. I'm not sure that's going to make a cake yet either. I may need to add flour. But before I do, I'm going to add another cup of the corn flour. I couldn't find organic corn meal. If I found that, that might have been my next ingredient. You know, I think this just might work. This is all going to go in the freezer, and I'm going to keep it in the freezer until I put it out for the birds. It was 13 degrees here yesterday. It was 21 this morning, and it'll be in the 20s for the next couple of weeks. Now, you can put add-ons in here. One of the add-ons I'm going to put in are just raw peanuts. And where's my measuring cup? Here it is. Let's put in a cup of peanuts. And let's put in a cup of the sunflower chips. And let's add a cup of mealworms. And lastly, I'm going to add 2 cups of black sunflower seeds. That's all I'm going to add right now. While I was moving stuff out of the way, I forgot to add my old-fashioned oats, and I may still do that depending on the consistency of this mix. It may need a little more solid stuff. But here comes the fun part. I'm not going to heat this. I am just going to mix it up like a meatloaf. And get down in there and grab everything. I'm liking it. I can just imagine, I wish some of the grandkids were here today. This would be a part they would love. I think I will add a little bit of oats now that I've got my hands all gooey. A couple of cups. Got to get a new glove. I took advantage of the clean hand to change the camera angle a little bit. I think you're getting the gist of what's going on here. You can do a lot of different things with this mixture. You can put it in ice cube trays. You can put it on a sheet pan with some parchment paper. Cut it later. You can put it in muffin tins. This is really, that 2 cups I added really stiffened this up a lot. We save our commercial because we are into recycling. Our commercial cake pans here are the Suet cake pans, and I'm going to use those. I'm also going to use some half-pint jars. This is one of the birds' favorite feeders. It's really easy to make. I'll put a cake below and feed these feeders. I don't put all of my Suet feeders out at the same time. I like to rotate them just to keep the birds interested. I have a couple of different kinds. Some of them don't allow the larger woodpeckers and sapsuckers to get on because it needs a tail rest. But the simple one I made, the last one I made, was so simple to make. Took less than 20 minutes and only a drill and a pair of scissors. So the next process here, I'm going to cover these with saran wrap and put them in the freezer for at least a couple of hours. The birds have been crazy busy these last couple of days in this cold weather. Looks like I'm going to have 6 cakes here. The nice thing about this glass is you don't have to worry about recycling it. Once they're empty, we bring them in, run them through the dishwasher to sterilize them. This method is so easy, not heating anything up and worried about mixing it. Well, it looks like I need one more jar or one more of the recycled containers. And that's going to do it. So let me know in the comments what you think. The last thing I want to do is to lead someone on to think I know everything. I'm just like you. I'm a YouTuber, and you can't trust everything you see on YouTube. But I'm willing to learn and willing to change. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.